We're live.
Welcome to WeTaku Anime Review, a bi-weekly show where we review anime, kind of obvious by the title, and basically just tell you how we felt about it, why we felt about it, and just have a good old-fashioned time. My name is Jovan, I am your host, and my degree in weebology comes from shonen bullshit. You three introduce yourselves?
I'm Thomas, and I guess I specialize in romance and psychological.
My name's Steven, and I wouldn't necessarily say I specialize in it, but I like rom-coms and Bacano because I don't know how to genre that.
Specialized just sounded good to me.
And I'm Allan. I specialize in nothing, but I have a preference towards psychological anime.
That's what I meant.
Alright, you know what? Screw it. No, I do specialize. Shonen all day. I will show you guys my degree in shonen weebology next week. I'll have my master's ready. The PhD will be finished.
And the second episode, Toradora!
In the second episode, welcome to this week's episode of WeTaku Anime Reviews, where we actually do review anime, we swear. But today's episode is Toradora. Toradora is a romantic slice-of-life anime produced by JC Staff. It centers around deuteragonists Ryuji Takasu and Taiga Aisaka as they try to set each other up to date each other's respective best friends, Minori and Yusaku. Antics ensue. I was going to write a better description, but honestly, Antics ensue basically describes the rest of the show and basically most slice of lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I just wanted to say yeah, also, since we have...
Yeah. So, for those of you who didn't tune in last week, we reviewed Charlotte. The link will be in the description of the YouTube VOD, not the Twitch, as we don't have a description here, I don't think. So,
We
Starting
may
off-
eventually.
we may eventually, but not today. Starting off, we like to talk about story, characters, animation, and sound. And I guess we're going to kick it right off by talking about the story, which is really hard to do considering this is a slice of life.
That's okay.
I liked the story. Alright, okay, so it's all high school stuff, right? But it's fine. It is high school stuff, and they go on field trips, and that's the thing. But while it doesn't really break any ground, it knows what it wants to do. It is a slice of life about high school, and it has the archetypal everyone, but it does it so well, is the thing. And I don't know how else to describe it other than it is generic and predictable, but you love it. You're in for the ride. Even if it's a little awkward at times, you're still smiling at the end of each episode, except for episode 19.
Alright, so I'm going to go through the quick slice of life checklist here to make sure Toradora hit all of them off. Please, all of you, chime in if I've forgotten anything. We have a beach episode.
Mm-hmm.
There is a culture festival.
Yep.
3 episodes
trip.
in this case, mind you.
3 episodes
Cultural
of Culture Festival, yes. We have more than one field trip, if I'm not mistaken, but one important field trip. We have a second festival, actually, a trip to a shrine.
Cool.
Am I missing anything? Are there any slice of life situations I have missed out on?
The
Well, the
pool.
archetypal people and the love triangles everywhere.
Oh God, perfect, so beautiful. Oh wow, yeah. I did miss one.
The transfer student.
There is a transfer student. There's the race.
Was there baseball? I know there was basketball.
Was there?
No, there wasn't.
There was baseball.
Softball. There's
There's
softball.
softball.
There's softball.
Softball's
There's
off.
softball,
Baseball. I'll
yes.
take it. This isn't P. We don't need them to yell. Let's a baseball. So
There's a
uh,
Valentine's Day
That was
episode,
the
too.
only thing worth watching from Little Busters. Sorry, I haven't finished Little Busters, so I feel bad saying that, but it's all I remember from it.
let's baseball it is. On that note, back to Toradora. Yeah, what Thomas is saying was right. Even with this checklist being the most generic slice of life checklist you will ever see, it did it pretty well. My problem is, I have a little bit of difficulty calling that a story, just due to the fact that it's just them living their lives.
I had
Yeah.
a problem with that at first. And then I got to thinking about it. Javon, you good?
No, I'm just dying. It's fine. Go on.
Okay. I had trouble with that at first, and then I just kept watching and thinking about it, and it was like, there are arcs, there are story arcs, and I think if you kind of think of the story in that regard, it makes more sense in a way, because there were definitely a lot of just smaller subplots, smaller arcs going on, and a lot of those were done really, really well. The stories contained within the entire series, the separate stories, I guess, were really good.
And like all those like events, like none of them were played like straight, just slice of life. They always had like a purpose. There's always something else going on as well. It, and I guess more in spoilers, but like, you know, there's always character development in them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody got developed. Moving.
Yes.
Well, I guess we can't move yet. We haven't given scores. Does anybody else want to say anything about the story without really spoiling it, or?
I also want to say it was definitely a generic, slice of life rom-com, but I wouldn't have really called it predictable. A lot of it I actually didn't see coming, honestly, and again, it was done really well.
The only thing that you can see from episode 1 is who Ryuji's gonna end up with. You're
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but
right.
Toradora
With
is
these-
one giant will they, won't they?
Of course, from the very beginning, I was like,
Okay, I was
Yeah,
trying to
but
say
with-
something.
with these types of slice of life and slice of life romance anime, like you can always tell which one they're gonna end up with.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
part of the formula. There's
That's
a
true.
formula to these.
And in
things.
fairness, the show acknowledges it like as early as episode 5.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They do not keep up the pretense for long, but
even in episode 2,
okay.
like,
Well, they kind of try to shirk it in episode 2, but we'll get
More
to
on
that.
that in
yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so with all
Okay.
that in mind, I'm giving Toradora. I really did not know how to score a slice of life story, but I liked what they did. I liked the premise, and I liked the fact that they were self-contained little arcs, and each arc did have character development. So I'm giving story an 8.
I like the story quite a bit. I will admit, episode 19, I cried. I did when I first watched it. But
First watch.
I gave it a 9.
since-
I gave it a 9.
I also gave story a 9.
All right, I am actually the lowest with the 7, but that's more for the fact that it was just slice of life and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to do because it's mostly character driven more than story driven.
Yeah. Though, just bouncing off of that real fast, I really loved the characters in Toradora. Like, I know you guys, I think we got into this argument a little bit last week as well, but whenever characters act like I think they would in real life and or act the same way I would in a situation, let's say, I get super attached to the characters. I really love them. And I think Toradora really shined, at least for me personally, with character interactions. Again, I feel like character interactions is going to be my catchphrase from now on. But Toradora's character interactions were incredible. Like,
They were. There were a lot
they
of
were. Sorry, go.
Oh, yeah. There were a lot of moments where okay, I brought this up last time with Charlotte, but in Charlotte, the characters, the side characters anyway, they didn't seem to really have much of a personality, and I felt like if they had more time with either each other, like their own screen time without the main protagonist, or one-on-ones with the main protagonist, it would make it better. And it happened. It happened in Toradora. I'm so happy because it made it so much better. They felt
just-
like characters.
I'm going to pause for a second here. Thomas, do you have a hat and a baseball bat?
No?
Right.
Sorry, continue.
No, I was basically done.
Okay, so I do feel a little bad that I gave such a low score to the characters. I feel like I should have given it higher. But like the character interactions, I thought were good. Thanks, Giovanna. I'm using your word. And like what I thought was really cool was even the background. Like there are two specific background characters that don't really deserve names, but they like help progress the plot, even though they're the comedic relief, and they are still important. And I really like shows where they have the comedic relief that's like, oh, but they also do something.
They matter. Kind of. Less so than the main characters, but that's why they're side characters.
They have their own lives.
And
Yeah.
Ami changes so much throughout the show. Like when
Yeah.
you first meet her, you're like, oh, okay, normal character, and then you're like, oh my god, I hate this bitch, terrible person. Like why? And then
Why?
By
why
the end,
do
you're
we
like,
have
you're the
to?
only Ami. You're the only intelligent person in this entire show.
yeah, you're like, this whole time she knew. Like what?
Well,
Yeah.
it's not just that. I don't think it's as much of her growing up or changing as much as it is her embracing who she is and the rest of them growing up to catch up with her.
Yeah.
A little bit.
On that note, all of the characters have a lot of development, whether it's them growing personally or just the show going into what makes them who they are. The
Yeah.
characters are so fleshed out in every single way. They all get the time that they deserve, except maybe those two background characters you were talking about. Yeah, I don't know their names, but they were just kind of there when it was convenient, it seemed. But
Listen, I'm just gonna put it out there. Yuri Sensei's name might imply why she can't find a date. And I'm just gonna put it out there.
fair
It's
enough.
harder.
You went there, Joe.
Fair enough.
It
But yeah, the characters were amazing. I loved them. They all had a uniqueness to them. Even if they fit some tropes, they all seemed very unique to me. And I liked that a lot.
There was more
And-
to them than the tropes. Is
Yeah.
a big thing.
They reminded me of real life actual people, and when that happens, I always have to be like, "You did good. You did good, anime."
They did really well at fleshing out the characters, letting everyone have their own real personality.
Because characters make up the majority of the show, though, I'm not sure if we want to keep going without spoiling.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any spoiler frees they want to give out real fast?
Well, Jovan, I
Yes,
think it's about time you gave your score.
I see. Thank you for this divine intervention that I wasn't about to just do. So my score for characters, as you guys might have heard from my little exclamation at the beginning, well, I didn't say it, but I implied heavily, is a solid 10 out of 10 best characters of anything, because not just in anime, but in movies, TV, books, people don't act like people. Nobody ever acts like a people in any genre because they can't, for the most part. Unless it is slice of life, which is something unique mostly to anime, I'd say. You really cannot have people act like actual people for the sake of the plot, for the sake of communication, for the sake of ease of reading, if it's a book. But Toradora's characters felt like actual real-life people with all their flaws, motivations, and everything in between. So I have to give that a 10. I think it's the best characterization I've seen of just about anything.
All right, Thomas.
It might be Frozen.
Oh,
Okay, Thomas seems to be frozen. So,
okay.
I gave characters a 9, and to be honest, I see where you're coming from with them being like people, but not all the time. There were definitely times I was like,
Thomas.
not on the same page as that. But regardless of that, I absolutely love the characters. I thought they were amazing.
working
They
yet?
were developed.
Your
thought it
video
was
isn't
perfect.
working.
My video isn't. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, but you sound all buggy as well.
audio?
Your
Barely.
audio is very, very bad.
Robotic.
My internet just cut out.
Ah,
Okay.
okay, he's back.
Oh,
he's
He's
back.
blurry. He's back and
You
blurry,
good?
but he's
You
back.
can give your score now.
I feel guilty
Oh, he's
Okay,
gone
no,
again.
Oh.
you just
that
raised
I
it.
gave it so low. I gave it a 7,
There we go.
especially. Am I good?
Yeah.
Yes,
let's go.
now you're
Let's
good.
go.
I feel very guilty, especially with your score, Jovan, and your great explanation of it. I only gave characters a 7. Um, too late to change it now, I guess. But you gave really great explanation with how they do feel very real. I did become emotionally invested, especially in Taiga. A little less than Ryuji, but Taiga, Ami, and Miranin, I felt were very real characters.
Mhm. Yeah, and I also gave them a 9, same as Steven. I felt that they were great characters. Very rare for characters to really feel this real in anything, really.
So, onto the animation.
I have a point.
All
I
right,
have a
go.
really big point.
Throw it in there, dog.
Okay. Um, this is the first. This is the first anime in a really long time that I've watched where the cars, they weren't CG. They were hand drawn. You can see it in like the first couple episodes. I don't know which one it is, but there is a car that goes by Ryuji, and it's not CG. It's amazing.
This is so important to you.
They-
Yeah, so
Thomas, you're frozen again.
that's a great point because I've noticed this a lot lately. And why is it that is it just cheaper to have the CG? Oh, can you hear me though?
Oh, that
No?
was
Yeah.
the greatest
Fuck
thing
it.
ever.
You guys talk. I don't care.
No, no.
Is it working?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
But your camera just super sped up to catch up to your voice, and it was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
All right. Well, is it cheaper? Is the thing.
Yes, I believe it
Yeah.
is cheaper.
Okay, then. All right, I'm done.
CG is cheaper because they don't have to just hand draw everything.
It's also faster.
A lot of the keyframes have to be hand drawn, and
Yeah.
that gets really tedious. And CG's a lot faster.
But it's also
And they-
looks like crap sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
CG Dragon 2006, no one will ever forget.
The CG in this, when they used it sparingly, and when they did, it added a lot of effect. There was like one scene I remember very vividly where there was like shredded paper falling from the sky, and that was CG, but it was good. Like it didn't ruin anything, you know. Like it added to it,
Yeah.
and that's important.
Yeah, on top of that, there are a few sparkling moments, literally sparkling moments in my mind from the show. Just a few shots, especially of Taiga. They put a lot of effort into her.
Mhm.
However,
And-
I didn't love the art style. Especially with, I know like half of the character is Ryuji's eyes, and it's supposed to be like, oh man, he looks like a delinquent, he looks weird, he looks different. But he did look weird and out of place, and the art style for his face is different than everyone else's.
It's
like
it's like the squinty eyes, right?
Yeah,
the
but it's
squinty
like
eyes
very
make him look
different
really
squinty
mad.
eyes.
My problem, as far as animation goes, is that I thought everything was very fluid, very pretty, very bright and colorful. But like what you said with Ryuji is that my problem with him is he didn't really look like a delinquent to me. Like he just looked like any other anime character, maybe with smaller eyes and like he had a bowl cut. He had a bowl cut, right? No, he had
No.
the hair that went down.
Yeah.
The weird hair.
Yeah.
But like that wasn't enough. I feel like he needed, I don't know, more shading over his eyes. I don't know how you could do it, but they
Make
just
him look more evil.
I think
give
the
him
point.
pompadour. I've never seen a good character that's a pompadour. That
Kuwabara is offended.
I
Yeah,
think the
yeah.
point was
Yeah,
that
another
his
point.
eyes made him look like mad all the time, like he was just angry all the time.
Yeah.
When he legitimately was angry, he did look scary, in fairness.
Also, that was something they only mentioned like a few times. It didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't really that big of a deal.
I think part of it was the reason Yusaku was his only friend.
Mhm.
Because you have to admit, before antics happen and like the friend group, I guess you'd call them, is established, Ryuji didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to the animation and visuals. I actually liked the way he was drawn. I liked the way all the characters were drawn. Again, I like uniqueness. I like the uniqueness. That was my thing with it. And overall, it wasn't the prettiest thing ever. It didn't really stand out, except for some moments looked absolutely beautiful. There were some like moments where they would show close-ups of the face and the facial expressions that looked really good, and in like really intense scenes, like a fight scene or a chase scene, there'd be a lot of really good animation.
It was also fluid, and it made who was it that did it? Was it JC?
JC
No,
staff.
it was JC Staff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they've always made some pretty solid stuff.
I just want to say, in some scenes, the character models, like if there was a lot of moving, the character models tended to deform. Like
It was
There-
a little jank.
okay. I'm gonna bring up episode 16. It as far as episode 16 goes, when they started moving, there was a lot of like color and lines, but I couldn't tell what those lines were sometimes.
It's like reading a manga.
Which episode? Like
16.
16, but what happened?
We will get
those
into
who
that
don't
in
know.
spoilers, I think, because
Okay.
we're still in spoiler free. I think
right,
at the point
fair
where we start
enough.
referencing actual episodes, we just need to start giving scores.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, we
So-
should give scores.
Because to me, animation was the lowest point of the show. It did its job for me, but I didn't really like the art style, which is super subjective, I know, but that's why we have 3 other guys' scores for you guys to look at. So for me, animation was just a 7 out of 10.
I gave it an 8 because while it wasn't, I said this about the last one. Oh, while it wasn't groundbreaking, it was very fluid and it was prettier. It was prettier than Charlotte was, in my opinion, but and more fluid, but just a little bit more. So I gave it an 8.
Okay.
I gave it a 7 because for the most part it was just average. It wasn't anything special, but it had really good specific moments. On the whole, it was just okay, but it had its really good, beautiful, amazing animated moments. So I give it a 7.
Slight technical difficulties. I'm sorry. All right. I just had them out of order. I gave it a 6 actually, because of those like weird moments, but 6 is still above average for me. It's just that the inconsistency in some scenes where there was a lot of movement brought it down a little bit.
I'm a
But
little
it's-
bit excited to see your scores for other things that we watch that won't be above average. Because I get the feeling
5 is the
it should
average.
be. I'm
Yeah.
very used to video game scoring, so my scores are probably going to be a little bit higher on average. I guess that makes yours either normal or lower on average. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I just... The way you explain that, it's really good, you're right, but I think it's the reason we're giving, like, average a 7, and you're like, it's slightly above average, 6. Either way,
I mean, I agree with Allan. Definitely, like 5 is the middle. 5 is average. I thought it was above average,
fair enough.
but not special.
All right, I'll take that. And on to sound. Does anybody have like any really strong feelings on the sound?
Okay. I thought the sound was the lowest part of this show.
Agreed.
So the voice acting was good.
It was really solid. In the sub and the dub, the voice acting was really solid for the record.
I haven't seen the dub, so I can't say anything about that.
Solid.
But the subtitled Japanese was great. Taiga's voice fit perfectly. Midori's voice was a little annoying, but other than that, like everyone else, it just was so fluid, and no one really stuck out at like, oh, that's weird. However, I hated the music. The
Really?
opening song, god awful, terrible. Could not stand it. I love to watch the opening every single time. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it for this anime. The first time I watched it, I saw it the way I saw it got rid of the opening and ending, and I thought I was missing out so much. But I found out they were doing me a favor.
I also
Oh, dude.
I didn't hate the opening, but I also didn't like it. I didn't watch it every time as I usually do. And the OST to me, like the background music, there were times where it just felt out of place, honestly. Like, it wasn't bad, it just didn't. There was never really any point, except maybe once or twice, where it added anything to it for me.
There's only really one soundtrack that actually stood out
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
same here.
Well, there were like two, but I can't remember what the other one was. So obviously, but when it needed to have, like at the emotional highs, I think the soundtrack actually added to it. But
Yeah.
just every other scene was, eh. There was actually one soundtrack that I found that sounded like it was from a visual novel, and I was like, wow.
This was a light novel, not a visual novel, yes?
Yeah, it was a light novel, but the soundtrack sounded like it was from a visual novel.
That's fair, I suppose. For me, the soundtrack... well, you guys are right in that most of it wasn't memorable. But the problem or I guess not the problem, the reason I kind of think a little bit highly of the soundtrack is for two things. One, because the sub and the dub are both stellar and show emotion so well that I can't not score at least a little bit highly, because voice acting is really important. Even if you don't know Japanese, you can tell emotion from their voices, and that's pretty important to have. And also the dub was solid. I enjoyed that as well. But second off, the music during the emotional highs, as Alan said, was incredible. It added so much, especially episode 19. And you know what? I think it was the episode before. Yeah, it was. Also, super
Score high.
emotional high, and also good music. So that was great.
There's
Thomas,
echoing
you need to
going on.
put headphones in, dog.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My connection was giving out there, so I moved, and I should have a better connection now. But now it's starting.
Fair enough.
I will say though that as far as the soundtrack goes in the other scenes, besides the emotional highs, it wasn't bad. It was just really average.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I still gave it a higher score than I did to animation, just because
Yeah.
it was, I don't, those emotional highs are really high for me.
Yeah.
I will, like Thomas said at the end of episode 9, he was crying. I lost it. I was sobbing. I was gone. That is a moment.
We should jump into scores.
Yeah.
So with all
We're
that
at the
in mind,
halfway
I
point.
gave scores, I gave sound an 8 out of 10.
I gave sound a 6.
I also gave sound a 6.
I gave it an 8. Well,
All right, so into the spoiler section, and with that, I would like to ask a question. Oh boy, let there be light, the Lord said.
and
Lord
it's gone
said, screw
now.
that, darkness again. So, on that note, beginning the spoiler section, I would like to ask one very important, very major question to each of you. Who was best girl?
Taiga. No,
Taiga.
me don't need. I don't know. Taiga. Me don't need. I don't
All right. Well, Thomas has an internal struggle.
know.
It was Taiga.
Alan?
Me don't need.
Oh, mine was Ami.
Mine was also Ami. All right.
All right.
We're gonna have to go through reasons
Steven's
for
face.
this. We're gonna have to go through
He's
reasons
just
for
like,
this. I
no,
think Best Girl deserves
you're
a score in
wrong.
and of itself, really. But for me, it was Ami because, like you said, she grew up so much. But not just that she grew up. It was more of she embraced who she was. At the beginning of the show, she was terrified of being that adult, of being the most mature of them, being the only intelligent character in the entire show. But I kind of, as the show went on, she embraced who she was, starting with the scene with the cameraman that Taiga beat up, and ending even with her locking Ryuji and Taiga in the room together and being like, okay, love each other until admit to each other you love each other so we can move on with our lives. It just, she was always right. Even when you thought she was being a horrible person, she was always right. Even when Yusaku, you thought he needed someone, but he really needed to grow up, she was correct. She was the most adult out of all of them, and she herself had to come to terms with being adult as well. And I loved her so much.
So, being an adult isn't just understanding these kinds of things. She handled it terribly in every situation, though.
I disagree.
She was.
Go.
Okay.
Go.
She was a little too sour with everything she said. Maybe I'm a little. Maybe I try to be a little too opposite. Whatever. Anyway,
I'm on
so
your side.
I liked her. I liked her a lot, but I think she was purposefully supposed to be unlikable. But for me, I like community, and the reason I do is because the entire time she like understands that Ryuji likes her, and she doesn't like him. No, I mean she does like him, but she knows what's better for him, and so she slowly, easily pushes him in that direction, even though it like negatively affects her, and but she knows that it'll be a more positive outcome than it could possibly ever be for her.
Slowly, easily pushes him in that direction until they lock them in a room, yell at them, love each other, and then chase them through a school. But yeah, I know what you mean. You are right there. I guess to me, I have a person in my life that's basically Midorine already. So it's very hard for me to choose them as best girl because I know all the flaws inherent with being that person's friend, and it's basically the same as Midorine.
Tell us about your love life, Jovan.
I didn't say it was. I said a friend, dog. But I mean, I think that kind of did tie into love versus admiration that the show was talking about. The same way that Ryuji really looked up to who Midorine was and how she was, but he kind of got that mixed up with how he felt about her a little bit, so that he convinced himself he was in love with her, but really he was just kind of in love with her ideal, not who she was as a person. And that's kind of, I feel like the kind of point of Midorine being there, being the person that like everybody admires, being the most obvious best girl, as it were, being the best person out of all of them, for sure. But also, you kind of fall in love with the ideal of Midorine, but she also has flaws that come with her.
I do like how you put that. You fall in love with her idea because that is what Ryuji falls in love with. He doesn't really fall in love with her per se. He falls in love with his abstraction of her.
And she knows that, and that must have hurt a lot.
Does Steven want to defend his decision?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say I see where both of you are coming from, and I think you both have very solid points on who you're talking about. But Taiga, okay, from the start, Taiga's the one that you know he's gonna end up with, but like, she was still a good character. It wasn't like I was rooting for that to happen the entire time, which often doesn't happen with me with rom-coms. I'm like, no, there are better ones, but no, I like Taiga. And it's hard for me to really articulate why, but it may be that she was misunderstood. She had this violent personality where she was always like just kicking stuff and whatnot, and you see that change throughout the show. It still happens, but less so. And you get more and more of her emotional side. And I at least got the feeling that she was misunderstood and just didn't really have anyone there. And when she had people she could really open up to, you got to see a lot more of who she was.
I'd like to put out a quick point real fast because of one thing that you are correct, by the way. I think she was misunderstood. I think the one thing I want to say is the entire time I was also rooting for him to get together with Taiga. Do not confuse my best girl choice with my choice of who he should get together with, because no, it was definitely Ryuji X Taiga for me. I think the show made a really good case for that, incredibly strong.
That's fair. Yes, the two things are not inherently connected, but
Yeah.
in this case, I threw it in there because I liked Taiga a lot. I liked who Taiga was a lot. She was fun. To me, like, Minodine was just overly excited about everything, and that's just not the kind of thing I really like. But, you know, as you were saying, when you get more to what's going on with her, it's better. But I like Taiga a lot. and I think she was misunderstood and had a lot of development throughout the show, and I grew to like her a lot.
So, what did you feel about Ryuji? Personally, I thought he was all right. That like he had he had his like thing in the beginning, and that was cleaning. He always has to clean.
Yeah.
But that's fine because like he needs room to like grow out of that. But I feel like in most anime, just about all of them, the main characters kind of suck.
Yeah.
And they do it on purpose so that you can like connect with them. That they don't have a voice because you're the voice in your head.
Yeah.
Have them be you, right? So they intentionally try not to characterize them, or they'll just give them a confounded sad story because that's just what's easy to write. But like he wasn't. He did okay. Like he had like the deadbeat dad and the mom who doesn't want to do anything. But you see that he cares about them and he wants to like or his mom at least, and he wants to work for her. To make her life easier, and he's also trying to deal with school and then with Taiga and with Mirorin and with Ami, and I feel like he was okay.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Ryuji because he, as far as rom-coms go, like you were saying, a lot of them just kind of suck. He had his own personality. I really liked him. He added a lot to the show to me just because he was a likable main character, like main male lead in a romantic comedy. He
Ryuji
wasn't
getting
just
robot.
he wasn't just an empty shell molded by the viewer or the other characters. He had his own life, he had his own goals, and
He had his
that
own
was
thoughts.
really nice. And you see him grow as a person too.
On top of that, like, there are reasons for his quirks. He loves to clean because his mom never cleans. Their house is a mess because she's not really around, and when she is, she's not exactly in a fully conscious state, let's say. But still, even then, like, yeah, that quirk has a personality, but it's not just his backstory that defined him. His reactions to situations, his decisions that he made, were not like I am bland main character trying to avoid all decisions so that you can live through me. He was a person reacting to stuff. I think the biggest example was when carrying Taiga back up the mountain when she was unconscious and muttering things because she thought he was Yusuke. And then pretending it wasn't him, but like actually being pretty torn up about it.
I thought that was a very good scene. It really displayed his integrity and like how he good internal struggle, I guess. Yeah.
Must have hurt a lot. I'm gonna say that about basically every Toradora character real fast. No matter who you are in Toradora, probably hurt a lot.
Yeah, those two background characters when they saw Ami on the stage during the Christmas thing, I'm sure they were just.
Listen, I bet there's like a spin-off show in the author's mind right now about those two background characters and how like awful their high school love life was.
I'm gonna look up their names.
Do they
In the
deserve it? We'll see.
meantime, we haven't given Allan a chance to defend his best girl yet.
Oh, we're gonna do this now. Well, I mean, a lot of what Jovan said factors into my decision, but for me, it's like more personal as far as also, god damn it, Skype making sounds. But as far as like the way that she went around trying to help the main characters, I felt like I could identify with that more than how like Minori tried to, and how Taiga just solved her problems.
Taiga just solved her problems. That's not a thing that we're used to in anime at all.
Yeah,
Problems getting solved, what?
yeah.
But because we are in spoilers, and I really wanted to talk about this part, Allan said this was his favorite part of the show. Before we get into the discussion about episode 19, because I think we're going to have a full talk about that real fast too. But first off, Yusaku's arc. Yusaku, unappreciated glasses kun, got his story. And his story was being in love with the student council president, and she's moving to America. And she rejects him for his own sake.
And Taiga beats the crap out of her.
Yeah, she does. But she rejects him for his own sake, and he hears that. But the entire time before that, he's just desperate for attention. He just wants someone's attention. He wants someone to hear like how crappy his life is. Oh, like the girl I love doesn't love me, and she's moving to America, and I'm so sad. Watch me bleach my hair. I'm crying. And the whole time, Ami's just sitting there in a window, like, oh yeah, it must be nice to be a little kid who wants attention.
Yeah.
Which is that's something I actually loved. But like watching him grow up from that, watching him realize that like she had a point. She was right. I need to grow up. I can't just like cry for attention. I need to move on. I need to let what is her name? Samiku? Something like that. The student council
Sumire.
president, Samire. I need her
Oh.
let her move on with her life and go to America and study abroad, and this is something that can't happen, and time to move on. And that was I really liked watching him grow up, especially because I think we've all been there at some point where we just wanted the attention of being sad.
Well,
Yeah.
episode 19.
Yeah, that was.
Somebody single-minded.
I was just gonna say that was one of those very real moments, like you had mentioned. Sorry, hope you're not gonna die there. But yeah, he he was very real, and yeah.
And he went to America in the end, so it's okay.
Listen, we talk about the character development with the idea that he did not realize he was just going to go to America.
18, Thomas?
19.
19? Oh, okay.
For those of you who are not sure, I'm going to sum up episode 19 very quickly.
The Christmas episode.
I was going to say the words, Ryuji! Ryuji!
So, like, when I first watched this show, I watched it in junior year of high school, I think. And, you know, after I finish the show, I'll delete it, right? I deleted the entire show except for episode 19 because I would go back and rewatch it because I thought it was so good, and it's the pinnacle of the show. It is
The turning
like,
point.
yeah, it is. And it's very good. If you want to sum it up, Jovan, you can.
Very quickly, I'm not going to yell Ryuji again because I tried to keep it low, but I think the mic, anybody listening on headphones might hate me. I'm sorry. But real quick, this is the episode in which Taiga realizes she loves Ryuji, not Yusaku, which I mean she's kind of been implying forever, but this is the first time she admits it to herself. This is when Minarine rejects Ryuji straight out, not because she doesn't like him, because she does, but because she saw Taiga having her freak out about how much she loves Ryuji, and she knew that for her best friend's sake as well as like her own, because she knew that Ryuji loved her ideal more than her. She rejects him. She turns him down even though he likes her, and she likes him, and that's brutal as well. That's also the second half of Minarine. You seeing a little bit more into her because she was so depressed about like screwing up the Christmas incident, as well as what she just saw with Taiga. Like that's just her reaction to it, and that screwed with her for the rest of the show. I think, at least until everything was out in the open. That it was the turning point of so many arcs. Everything the show had kind of amounted up to. And also in that arc was Taiga and Ami singing, and I think we can all agree that was pretty amazing. But
Christmas. Yeah, no, I don't know the.
I always cringe when they say Christmas.
no, it's fine. Nothing makes me happier than English. Nothing.
I love the singing moment too.
Yeah.
Like it was just fan service, but I mean, I was like, typically I'm like, fan service, but this I was like, yeah, fan
That's
service.
just go. Just
For
keep
some
answering.
reason,
It was
I'm a
just fun.
sucker for singing. I don't know. I always love it.
Singing is always good, unless it's bad singing, but that's fine too. But yeah, episode 19 was the turning point for the show, the high point for the show, the high emotional point for the show. Ryuji admitting to himself that he loved Taiga was a lot more subtle and a lot more like nuanced. But Taiga being a lot less of a subtle human being, let's say, her realizing it and crying and trying to convince herself that it'd be better when he was with Midorine and failing, completely failing, and just realizing how much she wanted Ryuji. Oh my god. Just there aren't words for that feeling more than just yelling the word Ryuji a lot.
And so the whole thing comes together. So they have the Christmas party with the school, and then like Ryuji's supposed to like dress up and go talk to Midorine. At the same time, Taiga goes home and she's like, it's fine. I'm just gonna
I'll be
spend
alone.
Christmas alone. It's cool. And so a bear like walks into her room and it's Ryuji and he like plays with her and she's like, "What are you doing here? Why are you here?" And she's like,
Ryuji,
"Go
be alone."
talk to Midorine." And so he's like, "But I just wanted to make you happy." And she's like, "No, go." And so he does, and then she's like, what did I do? And like the animation is so fluid when she goes down that hallway. She's like,
Oh, the
Yeah.
tears though, the sparkly tears.
oh my god, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then afterwards, when Minori sees her,
Oh god, that whole
Midorine's just like,
The whole episode. Hell, I was already nearly in tears when he came in the room as a bear. Like, they were like spinning around, and she's like, "Thank you," and I'm like, "Oh my god, he loves her so much. Oh my god, he cares so much."
why are you even
Like-
asking out, Minori?
Yeah.
Oh god, and she keeps the charm too. She keeps the hair thing and she wears it, and you're just like, oh god, this is gonna come to a head very soon.
Hmm.
that
And
bear
because
costume was.
we're running out of time, I would like to discuss the ending of the show because I feel like we have a lot of feelings that might conflict there. So quick ending to the show summary for anybody who didn't watch. Taiga and Ryuji decide to run away from their families and get married. They run to Ryuji's grandparents' house. Ryuji reunites his grandparents with his mom, and it's very touching, it's very beautiful, and we probably should have talked about his mom more because I really loved that moment. She tried so hard to raise Ryuji, and in that moment she was allowed to be the dumb teenager who had a kid again for the first time because she tried so hard to be an adult for him. I mean, she wasn't great at it, but she tried. And with her parents, she got to break down and cry and be the teenage girl who just wanted her parents' approval again at raising her son. So that was great. But moving past that really quickly, Ryuji and Taiga kiss for the first time, and that's great too. They practice their wedding vows, but then Taiga runs away for a year because she decides she needs to grow up as a human being before she can marry Ryuji. And then at the end, he shows up, confesses to her for realsies, and she headbutts him in the stomach, and that's basically how the show ends. I think the show's actual final word was the word baka. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it might have been. And
I'm pretty
this is
sure.
the most tsundere show ever. But
I mean, yeah, everyone knows that going in though. It's today's show. Like,
yeah, that's true. She's the best tsundere, though. I love her. But that's the point. Is the decision to get married? I know, Thomas, you hate that, right?
oh yeah. There's only one show where I like it, and I don't want to tell you what it is because we're probably gonna get to it. But I do like it in that show, and it's my favorite show. But other than that, I don't see many anime do well with marriage,
Well-
especially Toradora. Toradora, it did not need it. He's like 20, 19, whatever. I mean, yeah, some people get married young, but I just don't think like the show handled it well.
Well, that's the idea, though. They were
They
two
wanted-
stupid kids who were just like, "Hey, we're gonna get married. That's how we're gonna show our love," and then they didn't do it.
And
For
they
the
also
record.
just wanted to get away. Like, they literally wanted to get away from both of their parents at that point. Like,
I mean, their parents kind of sucked.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
little.
that's what I'm saying. They didn't get married. They said they were going to, yes, and I disagree with you. I think they did handle that well because, like, it didn't actually happen. They ended up just running away because they needed to get away.
And they came
And
back.
that was more, yeah, they ended up coming back once
It could have ended at 24.
Yusuko was her name, right?
Yeah.
When his mother went and got them basically. But the marriage itself wasn't necessary, but it was the decision to get married that kind of caused other things to happen.
Because they didn't get married, I say it was handled well. If they actually had
Yeah.
gotten married, I would be furious at that cop out.
Yeah.
If they got married, it would have made it feel like too unreal.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too. It was more real that way. Like they didn't actually get married. They were, and like Tyga said, like, yeah, I didn't think it would actually work out that way anyway. Like,
I'm gonna go home and rethink my life for a little bit.
yeah, I mean that was pretty realistic. It's like these two kids, they want to get away from home, they want to get away from their parents, but it just doesn't work that way.
It could have ended at 24.
Thomas,
Yeah.
defend your hatred.
No, I'm good.
No, I actually wanted a discussion here. Darn.
It could have ended with them running away on the train, and that'd be it.
Yeah, I said
That
that
would've
to
sucked.
Allan as we were watching it. I was like, you know, they could just end it here. Like, there's another episode, but they could just cut it off right here and be fine.
But it's good that they did it.
It is like
I wouldn't have liked that ending. I would have hated that ending.
I would have wanted to know what happened. It would have left me wanting more, but I still would have been satisfied. And I'm still satisfied with what was the actual ending episode as well. But
Yeah, but I'm with the reaction their friends had when they're like, "We're gonna run away and get married." You guys are idiots, but we will support you because we love you.
yeah. Yeah.
Here, take all of my money. It's a little extreme.
All of my
And
money,
my beach house.
my beach house, and rice vouchers.
Listen, he tried, okay? He didn't have much.
He could have changed their hair. They were running away. He
They
could have
weren't trying to
changed.
change their identities. But-
That's saved for when
Okay.
you have to escape the government.
That's
Text-
true. I mean, that's actually season 2 of Toradora. Nobody knew about it, but Tyga actually gets in a fight with the president of America at some point, and it's a giant. It's great, actually. Fantastic. Spoiler warning. Actually, I'm sorry, I've ruined Toradora season 2 for everybody.
If only we were in the spoiler section, Jovan.
Ah, but you see, we only reviewed season 1. We haven't
man,
gotten to the president fight scene yet.
I totally forgot about season 2 where Taiga turns into a shinobi ninja. Is
Godzilla.
able to learn the
Actually, Godzilla Ninja who fights the
Okay.
president. Okay, we're gonna stop this there.
Final
But final thoughts and action ratings, I think, is where we're at right now. Unless anybody wants to discuss anything else that stood out to them.
All right.
I think
Final
my
thoughts.
last words, really quickly, are just I really liked the focus on family Toradora had as well.
Mhm.
Thomas's hand is waving quickly.
Yeah,
I really liked
I-
the focus on family, the focus on Ryuji's mom, and their like kind of defunct family that added Taiga to it, as opposed to Taiga's family that kind of was the worst.
I do like how the mother like stayed in the forefront. Like Ryuji's mother stayed in the forefront. Like in the first episode, I was like, oh, his mother's like an alcoholic. She's just gonna lounge around all the time and not be important. But she was.
She
And I
mattered.
liked that.
So the
I
parrot
liked
did
that.
not matter, and I don't think the parrot ever needs to matter.
The parrot was just weird.
So
But she
Parrot
said
was
her
best
name.
girl.
I wasn't sure. Was the parrot making fun of special needs things? Like,
I think the parrot was just supposed to be super disappointing
okay.
in general. Hopefully.
Yeah, it seemed offensive. I really thought the parrot was kind of offensive.
I can
It-
agree with that. Yeah.
I don't think anybody really liked the parrot. That was like maybe the one thing of Toradora that did not need to exist at all.
Yeah.
But other than the parrot, I really liked their focus on family. We're
Mhm.
gonna pretend the parrot was not part of the family. That the parrot didn't happen. But yeah, just I did like, and I did mention before when I was summarizing the last episode, the fact that Ryuji's mom got to be herself for the first time in 18 years, because she had to be Ryuji's mom for 18 years, but she didn't get to be her own person because she gave that up for him. And that was, I mean, she wasn't great, but she tried her best, and I think that's worth a lot to keep a family together.
She tried.
She tried.
She tried so hard.
All right, final thoughts and ratings, shall we?
We were already there.
Mhm.
Perfect. Great. Way ahead of me. I should keep the stream open more often. So, my final thought, my final rating is probably the highest that we're going to... Oh, it's already there.
Yep.
Well, thanks for taking out all the fun, Allan.
Okay. This is the same as last time. They're all displayed
Yeah.
for the world to see.
Listen, I'm just gonna
when I
react to
bring
this
it.
every single episode. It's fine. My final verdict is a 10 out of 10. This, for me, was the best romance I have ever seen in any genre. Once more, books, once more, movies, TV, anime or not, this was just the greatest. I don't know what Thomas is doing.
I
This
have a
is-
bone to pick with you.
All right, pick it. Pick
Not
that
gonna
bone.
do it until we get to that anime.
Ah, I know what bone you're picking, and I think this
Yes.
one's better.
Yeah.
This to me was the best romance. I think it had a satisfying conclusion. I think it had it was actually people growing up. Watching this in high school and or early college, especially, I would recommend, just because you will probably be going through this or have gone through this at some point in your life. Watching it past that, actually, still probably recommend because that's fun nostalgia for you, I'm sure. But it hits it so real. It does everything it does so well. I can't not give it a perfect score. And Thomas has a magical eye. Moving on, I think Tom, your score's up.
Yeah, okay. Well, I gave it an 8 overall, because it was very good. But not my favorite. And this is what happens when you're a really good baker, right? You follow the directions and everything comes out just the way you want. And I feel like Toradora followed the directions and it came out and they were pretty good muffins. So it wasn't groundbreaking, it wasn't from scratch, but it was nice
You
and it
wanted
was
that
good,
surprise
and I
jalapeno.
appreciate it.
You wanted that surprise jalapeno muffin.
I feel like he might be referencing that other anime with the bacon comment.
Oh,
However,
Well, it was an
I don't
analogy.
think yeah, but perfect.
um, I gave it a 9 overall. I also can't really say that it wasn't, just cookie cutter in a way, but everything was done really, really well. There was still a lot of uniqueness to it. It followed a formula, but added a lot to it and did the things it did cookie cut. It did it really, really well. So I think overall it was superb. It was enjoyable. It was well done. I loved it. 9 out of 10.
If we're gonna go with baking, I'd say that these muffins had a little bit more to them. They weren't just plain muffins. Like they at least had like sprinkles on top. I mean,
You eat sprinkles with muffins, Alan?
Alan,
Okay.
we need to work on your analogies. Oh no.
all right. They were banana nut muffins.
It had
all right?
crazy
They're
banana nut
banana
muffins.
nut.
That's good.
All right. But yeah, it was a slice of life romantic comedy, but it was also an emotional roller coaster for all of us, and I gave it a 9 out of 10 because of that.
I think Tom
It was
needs to
just
back up a
handled
little
really
bit.
well.
It was handled beautifully well. I think it was fantastically done. And I think personally, even though it was cookie cutter, it did everything so well that it was perfect for me. I guess it's a formula for a reason to me, and I think the perfection of that formula was good enough for me that it gets a perfect score. Um, with that in mind, next week we will be watching
In the next
an
2
elementary
weeks.
school kid dubbed with the title Shonen Bat or Lil Slugger has been going around attacking people with his bent golden bat. Now, 2 detectives are investigating so that they can stop this kid from making any more attacks, but they will find out soon enough that this case is much more than they expected.
What is it,
This
guys?
anime is...
I'm a little paranoid about this anime.
Oh, are we gonna make bad puns about the future anime? Because I'm hoping that I'm just gonna really say it really quickly now. Paranoia Agent! Before any other puns show up.
Now it's my choice.
Yep, it was
Yeah,
chosen
we're
by
going
Thomas.
down. We're going down this
I think, alright,
formula.
one sec.
It's called a ladder.
we
It's
go
a
down
ladder.
a ladder where
It's a
each of
ladder.
us chooses an anime every week. It's a 4-week cycle. We will be posting that to the subreddit, WeTaku, r/WeTaku. We will be posting every 4 weeks, or every 8 weeks, I guess. It's a bi-weekly show. Every 8 weeks, we will be posting the next 8-week cycle so that you guys can see what we're watching and who chose it. That way you guys can watch the shows in preparation for the podcast and discuss it with us in the chat, hopefully, or in the YouTube comments if you're watching the VOD, or the SoundCloud comments, or you guys get the idea. So, we will be posting the schedule for the next 2 weeks and the previous 2 weeks on the subreddit now, and we'll be posting the next one when that time comes up. But until then, Thomas did choose Paranoia Agent. Tom, would you like to give us a little quick explanation on why you chose it?
Satoshi Kon, I have been getting into lately, and I think he's dead now, which is unfortunate. And he's made a whole bunch of movies before. He's done Perfect Blue, Paprika, and
Tokyo Godfathers.
the Tokyo Godfathers. They're all super well done. And he very well shows like things going on in people's minds, and I wanted to kick things off with a psychological anime, and Satoshi Kon is definitely the way to go.
Fair enough. All right. I hope that's gotten you guys at least slightly intrigued. He's excited. He's pumped. I'm a little scared. I think we're supposed to be. It's Paranoia Agent. He's paranoid. I'm scared. So, on that note, before he disturbs everyone, we're going to say goodbye, everybody. Now, the VOD for this episode will be up on YouTube within a day. Same with the SoundCloud file. I don't know what to call those. SoundClouds? Why not? The SoundCloud will be up in about a day as well, give or take. Could be less, could be more. We're going to work on editing real quick.
Hopefully.
And
have confidence in me, guys.
Hoping you guys enjoyed the show and will join us next week. So until then, see ya.
See ya.